Jake here for American Trucks, and today I've got this Superchips Pulsar LT inline control module for 2019 and newer Silverado 1500s with the V8 engine. Now, if you have bigger wheels and tires, or if you're looking for a way to make some significant changes to the drivability of your Silverado without doing anything permanent or going as far as tuning your truck, this is a really cool option that you're going to want to check out. Now, when it comes to programmers or modules like this, it is important to understand what they do, but also what they do not do. So let's start out with what the Pulsar LT is not, and the big thing here is that it is not a tuner. So this is not meant to increase the power of your engine or give you any type of power gains whatsoever. So if you're looking to crank up the power of your engine or get something that is going to help accommodate for further engine modifications, this isn't really your setup. However, what it does do is pretty cool. There's a bunch of different things that you can change. It allows you to change multiple different settings on your truck that you wouldn't otherwise be able to access. For example, one of the things that you can do is change the speed limiter. So you can set it anywhere from 82 up to 140 miles an hour. So if you've got a new driver who might be behind the wheel of your truck, this is an easy way to keep them from going too fast. If you're towing something and want to set a little speed limiter for yourself, you can do that too. Or if you're hitting the drag strip, you can bump up that pesky stock limiter and just send it all the way. You can also adjust the tire pressure monitor system's standard PSI. So if you're running aftermarket wheels and tires and need to run a different pressure, such as for off-roading purposes, you can change that with this module to avoid getting the annoying light and that message on your dashboard. You also have the option to adjust both the axle ratio, anywhere from 2.0 up to 6.99, and you can also input a tire size correction for tire sizes from 29 inches up to 50.9 inches. So if you're running any larger than stock wheels and tires, or if you change the axle ratio out from your stock setup, this is going to allow you to correct the speedometer and odometer readings to keep them accurate and keep everything functioning. But there's still more. If you're looking for a way to disable the dynamic fuel management or DFM cylinder deactivation system, you can also do that with the Pulsar LT. So this setting will allow you to keep the engine running on all 8 cylinders all the time. So there's no more shutting off half the cylinders and getting that weird drone noise on the highway. You get all the response all the time. You also have the option to turn off the stop start as the default. So when you start your truck up, that system will default to off. You don't have to hit the button and toggle it off every single time you get back in the truck. And you can always, of course, turn it back on as the default too. And the Pulsar LT also functions as a way to clear diagnostic trouble codes. So if you're out on the road and your truck throws you a check engine light, you have the option to be able to reset it quickly and move on. Now, it will not tell you what the code is, but you do have that way to reset it. And on top of all of that, there's one more thing that it does. You also have the option to switch between 5 different throttle sensitivity settings. Since newer Silverados have electronic throttles, you'll get some lag between putting your foot down and the engine actually responding, just like most modern cars. Here you have 5 different settings in addition to your stock one to adjust how your throttle pedal responds. So the first setting actually is going to reduce response by about 15%. So if, again, you're towing something or you're doing a lot of heavy hauling and you want a little bit more control over exactly what's going on, that first setting might be the right option for you. You can also increase the throttle response by up to 65% over stock with those other 4 settings. And of course, you have the option to go back to stock. And by now, you might be wondering how you change all these things around, since there's obviously no remote or anything else with this module. Pretty much everything that comes in the box, short of the instructions, is right here. Everything is controlled via the cruise control buttons on the left side of your steering wheel. Now you can change the throttle sensitivity settings on the fly while you're driving, and you can also alter the other settings before starting up using those same controls. There's no remotes, there's no extra apps on your phone, and Superchips also provides you a nice reference guide in the box to help with changing the settings as well. So throw that in your glove box, and if you ever need to change anything while you're out on the road, you've got a handy little guide. And with all that said, we should probably now talk about the price. So this is going to come in around $550, which may sound like it's on the expensive side for something that isn't a tuner. However, think of it this way. If you were to buy a throttle controller and a DFM delete module, you would likely spend more than that $550 for both, and you're still not going to get all the features the Pulsar LT have. Plus, it's also less money than most of the tuners out there. So if you're looking to make some pretty significant changes to the way your Silverado drives and functions without going so far as doing a tune, this is absolutely something you should look into picking up. Now, as far as installation goes, it really couldn't be much easier. Coming in at a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, it's just a simple matter of popping the hood and doing up a couple of plugs, plug it in the module, and then plug in these guys, into the correct spot in your engine bay. Should only take you about 15 minutes or so to get it all up and working. Now you are provided with some double-sided Velcro and some zip ties, plus this little bracket to keep everything organized and out of the way. One note though is that if you are running an aftermarket intake of some kind, you may have to find a different place to mount the module itself. But overall, it's pretty simple installation. And the best part is that it doesn't make any permanent modifications to your truck, so you can always just unplug it, take it right back out should you want to convert everything back to completely stock. And with that, let's head to the install bay where we'll walk you through the process step by step.
The tools you're going to need for this installation include an electric or regular ratchet, a long extension, a 10mm deep socket, and a flathead screwdriver. What's going on, everybody? Today I have an inline control module that I'm going to show you how to install on a 19 Silverado. Let's get started. The inline control module comes with a harness that we're going to plug in to this harness right here in front of our airbox. I'll show you how to do that right now. Before we put our module harness in line with the truck harness, let's disconnect the negative battery terminal using a 10mm deep socket. Now let's pull it off and put it out of the way so that it can't touch the negative terminal while we're working. All right, now we're back over to the airbox side of the truck, and we're gonna disconnect this harness here. Pull up on the safety tab. And there's two tabs at the bottom of the harness. So just push on opposite corners here and here and lift up. And that releases the harness. Now we can put our module harness in line. So this goes this way actually. Slide that on top and push the sleeve down. And just give it a little tug, make sure it's locked down. Once it's in place, put the safety clip down. Now take the other side of the harness, daisy chain this in to our module harness. So I was trying to see which way that goes. If you look here, this tab pin on the module harness lines up with this slot here on the factory harness. Lock it in place, same thing. Push the safety pin down. At this point, we can connect the actual module to the harness. All right, let's mount the supplied bracket. And we're gonna mount it right here on the airbox where it attaches to the frame. And we're gonna remove the nut that secures it down using a 10mm deep socket. So that's the nut we're taking off right there. And I'm actually gonna take the bracket and put the harness that's gonna be attached to it first before I mount it. Just makes it a little easier in my opinion. So it's actually gonna be, this harness here is actually gonna be the one that mounts to the supplied bracket. So we're gonna take this off, slip the bracket on. We're gonna route the wire through as well. Make sure this is kind of over here for now. Slip the bracket onto the stud, put the nut back on. And let's tighten that down. And the other harness that we are in line to is going to go on the factory bracket right here. Then we're going to route this wire over this way and mount our module to the top of the airbox. Now we can connect our module to this part of the harness right here. Make sure it clicks into place. A good spot to mount it is right here on top of the airbox. I would suggest using something like a double-sided Velcro tape on the back side of the module. So this is a good spot for it. For the purposes of this demonstration, I will not be doing that. Now we can reconnect our negative battery terminal. Now let's jump inside the truck and I'll show you the features. All right, we're in the truck. Let me show you how to go through this program and all its menus. We're gonna start by holding the start, stop engine button for about 5 seconds. So you see the gauges light up and the green light on the start stop button will be lit. At this point, we're just waiting for the speedo gauge to settle back down to 0, which it has done. At this point, we can press and hold the cruise cancel button, which is right here. We're gonna hold that for about 5 seconds until we see the speedo sweep to 140, like so. Then we can release that button. Now we wanna put the digital display into the speedo position. So just press this button, this wheel right here once, and now we can see the speedo. To go through the menus, press up and down on the cruise control wheel. As you can see, it moves, displaying which menu we want to access. So I'm gonna start with menu 1, which is 10 miles per hour. Once you're at the desired menu, just press the cruise cancel button. You don't have to hold it. It'll sweep. The gauge will sweep, showing you that it has entered that menu, and it will display what the current setting is at. So menu 1 is the speed limiter, and it's showing that it is set to 98 miles per hour. To adjust it, use this wheel, press up and down to your desired speed, and why not just limit it at 140. Once you press the cruise cancel button again, the speedo will sweep, showing you that it has saved. And it'll also stop at your desired location, like it just did. So if it ever goes back to 0 like this, hold the cruise cancel button again. It'll sweep, letting you know you're back into the menu options. Let's go to menu 2, which is 20 miles per hour. Press the cruise cancel. Once the gauge settles, you know that you are in the menu. So menu 2 is for the TPMS sensors, and you can set where you would like it to indicate that your tire pressure is low or high. It was set to 35 to begin with. And as you can see, do the same thing. Just press the wheel up and down till you have your desired setting. Let's keep it at 35. Press the cruise cancel button to save it. Once the speedo sweeps, you know that it is good to go. So every time you save something, you do have to go back in to the programming by holding the cruise cancel button. All right, let's jump into menu 3. Select that, it'll sweep, letting you know you have saved it. Now you want to put in your modified tire size. So I believe we have 35s on here right now. Go to 35, click cruise cancel, save that in. All right, let's go back in and go to menu 4. Menu 4 is for axle ratio. If you swapped out the stock axles, put bigger ones in there. You can also adjust that, because that will also affect your speedometer. And same as the tires. You want to select the stock axle ratio. First number is the whole number, second number is the decimal point. So that was 3, and this is 0.73. Just for an example, I'll select that. After you hit that, you can put in the ratio of your new axles. I'm gonna save it as the same because ours are stock. Menu 5 is for clearing DTCs. So once you select 50 miles per hour and hit the cruise cancel button, the gauge will sweep, letting you know that the DTCs are cleared, and that's it for that menu. Let's move on to menu 6. Menu 6 is one that I'm sure a lot of you guys will enjoy. Menu 6 is for disengaging the auto start stop. So if you want it disabled, you want to go to the 10 mile per hour setting and hit the cruise cancel button. The gauge will sweep, and now your auto start stop is disengaged. If you want it back, go back into the menu for you to show you. So if you do want to put your auto stop start back on, go into menu 6. And as you can see, once you enter, it shows you where the current value is set, or what the current programming is set to. So 10 is disabled. If we go to 0 and press the cancel cruise button, it sweeps, and now our stop start is enabled. All right, let's go into menu 7. And menu 7 is for the dynamic fuel management. So if you disable the DFM, it will automatically disable the auto stop start feature as well. But to disable the DFM, you would want to select 10 and save it there. I'm going to leave it on, so I'm going to select 0. All right, for the last menu, we have to have the truck running, so let's go ahead and turn it on. All right, to adjust the responsiveness level, we have to have the truck on, and the cruise control has to be off. So we have to press the cruise cancel button. And when we scroll the wheel up and down, you can see that the speedometer is moving. This indicates the responsiveness level. And there's levels 1 through 5. So 1 is actually reducing the responsiveness up to 15% less. And then all the way up to 5, which is actually increasing the responsiveness level up to about 65%. So if you let it sit, you'll see that the gauges will automatically go back down to 0, letting you know that it has saved. If I press cruise cancel, it shows me where my setting is and then goes back. So everything in between 1 and 5, such as level 4 and 3, are increased responsiveness, and 2 and 1 being decreased responsiveness. But I like a quick throttle, so I'm going to keep it on 5. And that wraps up the programming.
That's going to wrap it up for our review and install of the Superchips Pulsar LT inline control module for 2019 and newer Silverado 1500 V8s. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, for all things Silverado, be sure to stick with us right here at AmericanTrucks.com.